Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash, Brent, Commander, all here for you this morning on a wonderful Caldo Wednesday.
And a Wacky Wing Wednesday. Today's a great day to get into the chopping block and pick up your wacky wings. What, $4.99 a pound? Pre-marinated. They're great in the air fryer.
Yeah. I like them on the grill, actually.
They're
on the gas grill. You can even put them, if you got a Blackstone, they go good on there too.
How do you get the char? You know, if you're not careful, you get those parts where it can be done, but they're not. I like them almost crunchy.
Yeah.
So the air fryer
throw them under the broiler,
or fry them. Throw them into some oil.
You might lose all the coating.
Throw them into hot oil.
All the marination.
At that point, they're fried. Fried chicken. It's like one of my. At 62, it's one of my fantasy points. You know, it's like used to be blonde and brunette. Okay, let's party.
No, it's just wings.
Just wings, fried, garlic and lemon pepper.
Brent's only fan.
Yeah,
future is him eating wings.
I'm gonna.
There's a fetish somewhere.
Oh, and it's just all sauces all over
watching you
face.
Break that flat in half and just the bone in and slide it out.
The sadomasochist, just crazy sex fiend wanting to see the barbecue sauce all over my face.
And that's how he got married, folks.
Right. Yeah.
It's all it took.
Barbecue sauce. They can put barbecue sauce on Dawn's feet and film it. It's like, Brent, why'd you quit the show? Dawn's got pretty feet. I don't know, man. There's some weird people out there.
Oh, there's some weird fetishes.
There really are. I don't get it. Hey, but to each his own, as long as it's not, a kid.
I'm sure somebody's got a salmonid fetish.
Yeah.
You did this past weekend.
Unbelievable. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. There's a lot of things down there you don't want to put in your mouth, but you can put them on your yard. Get down to AT Deerland Feed, the little gin that could for over 50 years, solving all the farm and ranch problems in our community. 76 degrees under mostly sunny skies, heading to a high today of 89.
Any rain? Because you didn't call that one yesterday.
No, it did rain yesterday, didn't it? 40% chance today.
Thunderstorms too.
Starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's supposed to stop.
So I didn't get to ask you this. How'd your you had a great opportunity to connect with a buddy and go fishing on the weekend. How was that?
It was fun.
What'd you catch?
Well, I ended up with one. As far as keepers go, I had an 18-inch trout and one little slot redfish, 25-inch redfish. It was a nice fish.
Trout is a salmonid. Did you know that?
Salmonid.
That's what a trout is. It's like a salmon. It's in the salmon family.
Hey, good day, hey. I think the salmon's in the trout family, if you want to know the truth, like steelhead trout. But at any rate, it was beautiful. We went down to Corpus and we went south out of Corpus. And from the minute that you pull out of, you're kind of just south of the causeway there that goes from Corpus Christi over to North Padre Island. As far as you want to go, it's all King Ranch. It's just an amazing, amazing piece of property.
Crazy.
Yeah. So everything on the north side of the mainland side of your trip is all King Ranch. Just phenomenal to see the big, heavy Santa Gertrudis cattle walking around. Really cool.
Wow, they're pretty cool.
So
Daniel Wade White, Wendy Hughes Garcia, Scott Tomko. There's your podium this morning. Glad you're all in. Actually, Stephanie Conti, I think, was in first. And she just disappeared.
bumped.
Yeah, I don't know what happened
There's
there.
Monty
So yeah,
Howard.
Stephanie,
There's
there
Stephanie.
she is.
She
They
came
appeared.
back.
So
Now she's
we
back.
will read the photo finish. So Stephanie, Connie, Daniel Wade White, Wendy Hughes, Garcia, Scott Tomko just missing the podium.
Come in to hear us play the Top Gun theme song. I think it's probably worth mentioning that only because we're always in constant violation of
Oh, we don't.
the guy's name is Harold Faltermeyer.
Faltermeyer, yeah.
That's the guy that, but it seems like we're always in violation.
Did he do the Axel F theme song from Beverly Hills Cop too?
I don't know that.
I think he was pretty big.
You think he
Composer
was like in
back
tight
then.
with the producers?
Yeah, he was huge in Hollywood.
Do
Back
you
then.
think he knew Harvey Weinstein?
He was the musical version of Harvey Weinstein,
Yeah.
without all the
I'm thinking
weird
about opening
sexcapades.
I'm thinking about opening a bar called the Weinstein Lounge.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work so well. No.
What if you had like the Weinstein Lounge and you had the Diddy room? Hey, has anybody Commander jump in here?
And the R. Kelly bar next to that
Right,
one
the
too.
R. Kelly bar next to it. Have you heard anything at all about what's going on with the Diddy trial? I'm not suggesting you have any interest in it, but has it just stumbled upon you?
It has not. However, Ash was correct on the Beverly Hills Cops. He also did a song for Fletch.
Oh, Fletch was a great movie.
Fletch
One of
was
the
a great
great,
movie.
one of the great movies.
Let's see who else is in this morning. Greg Garcia, Bobby Leister, Marvin Mickish, Will Vincent, Scott Snow, Torrin Bales, Michelle Hawkins checking in. Marina Scherer, good morning. Sherry Jacobs, Lisa Poole. Hi, Marina.
Hi, Marina.
Patrick Strauss.
Hi, P. Strauss.
Monty Howard. Good morning, Ricky King. I wonder if we're still huge in Chicago and Illinois this morning. There's BJ Nelson,
BJ.
Heather Stewart,
Hi, Heather.
Andrew Alvarez, Buddy Stavanoa, Jordan Glass, John Paul Hull.
He says Brent and OnlyFans Eagles nightmare.
Yeah, but it was only fan. He's on the only fan. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
only one.
It's on the MySpace app.
David Glass, Mark Kurtz,
Tune in.
Andrew Alvarez.
Or
says-
you can get at Blockbuster, you can pick up the video.
Yep. Andrew Alvarez says, if
In
you see
beta.
me on Ugly Feet Finder, mind your business. I have
It's in
bills to
beta.
pay. It's on beta and Laserdisc.
Yes, nice.
Laser.
Right.
Jared
heard
Glass,
that.
Scott Tomko,
With the
Matt
soundtrack
Boucher.
on 8-track.
Yeah. Andrew Alvarez says, don't forget about the Clinton cigar bar.
I see. I like it, Andrew. The joke, the bits write themselves. The Weinstein Lounge with the Diddy Room and the Clinton Cigar Bar
And the R. Kelly,
and the R. Kelly
I don't know what you would call it, the R. Kelly room.
VIP room.
and the Michael Jackson unisex bathroom.
I was hoping you were going bathroom with that. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the Michael J. Come on in.
Uh,
You know, the Macaulay Culkin stall.
oh, that might be the Macaulay Culkin bedroom.
Wow.
There's Jarrett McCrugan. Good morning, cuz. And we are still large in Chicago this morning.
There you are.
We are the Chicago Dogs this
Ricky,
morning.
be safe. There's Matt Boucher.
Yeah.
Matt Boucher going, what are they talking about? And when will it open?
So the New York Times and CNN both reporting that the 14 bombs we dropped in Iran did not have the destructiveness that initially reported.
But I was proud of the administration this morning at The Hague, where the president and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, at least, are in the contingent at the NATO Defense Summit.
Satellite image shows the Fordow nuclear facility in Iran after the U.S. airstrikes on CNN.
You don't see any
This is-
cars, do you? You don't
that's
see
a-
any people, do you?
That's a Maxar Technologies satellite image, but I mean, there's one building left. If that's
Well, they
the
didn't bomb
reason
the
why,
Yeah.
it wasn't as successful, then I guess we can't call it.
Supposedly,
Success.
Fordow had a large facility underneath the ground, and Marco Rubio said it wasn't the president talking. He may have gotten his talking points from the president, but Marco Rubio said these news outlets are trying to say anything they can to discredit the president.
Well,
He said there's simply no way that you drop 3 30-ton or 30,000-pound bombs into that facility and not disrupt its activity. He said, and we're watching it. If people start going back there, then we will have options in the future.
U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend did not destroy the core components of the nuclear program, as President Trump claimed, according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment report. Sources told CNN, we need to find who these leakers are, that Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium was not destroyed and that centrifuges were largely intact. Steve Witkoff, Trump's Middle East envoy, went on Fox last night blasting the leak of classified. Remember when they were all up in arms over Pete Hegseth using, what was that? What was the app he was using?
App.
Because that's classified information that we were talking about bombings.
Monty Howard with the summation, whether the reports are accurate or inaccurate, the event seems to have gotten Iran's attention.
Look who's arisen from the dead. J-Dub, good morning.
Hey, J-Dub.
Signal.
Yeah.
Andrew Alvarez points out the same source, though, said that Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't legit.
But so why isn't the left now going after
that leaker?
Why do they not want to know who leaked this classified information? If
Witkoff says it goes without saying that the leaking of that sort of information, whatever the information, whatever site it goes on, is outrageous. It is treasonous.
Can you imagine if if the media would have been this underhanded during World War II?
Oh,
can you imagine if they would have reported that
FDR,
the propaganda that we were sending out to keep American morale up?
They would have killed him.
And that attack wasn't quite as good as FDR claims it was.
They would have killed him. FDR would have said, shoot that guy.
Hoover would have killed him.
No doubt. I have to agree with the president. It's one of the most successful military strikes in history. The idea that you've got Israel hating Iran, Iran hating Israel, and we dropped 14 bombs, no loss of American life.
Bombs that have never been dropped in actual combat situations ever. They've tested them. They've never actually used them.
We also sent Tomahawk missiles from 400 miles away and confirmed that whatever the damage, they all landed, 14 of them landed within 1 foot of their purported targets. It's just a show of force that's unprecedented. And at any rate, to get those two warring nations have been fighting since King David roamed the earth, to get those two nations to say, okay, fine, we're going to stop. And a hats off to the president. We talked about it here yesterday morning, continuing to chastise Israel for can't you just do what I tell you to do? And he's absolutely right. Israel.
It's not even so much that. It's just doing what you agreed to do.
Right.
Not fight.
Just have some common sense. You've got a guy here who's obviously on your side more than he's on Iran's side. It's kind of like you got your little brother and the other little neighbor kid, and you tell them, look, and you smack their heads together. Pow, and you go, look, now stop fighting. And as you separate them, your brother tags the guy one more time. And you're like, come on, man. I'm trying to broker, if not a peace, at least a ceasefire here. Not one American life lost. We got to test out some really cool equipment. And at the end of the day, the planes flew home and landed. It's just an amazing, amazing show.
Here's the other thing with those pilots. That was like a 36-hour round trip flight with no stopping, refueling. I mean, people complain when they got to fly from here to LA.
You could get
here to New York. Could you imagine
fisherman's itch? You get that butt itch.
36 hours. Those depends must have been working overtime.
Well, supposedly on the B-2, which has a really limited, as you can imagine, cockpit space, behind the co-pilot, there's a thing that kind of looks like, I saw a picture. It's kind of like a webbed, it looks like an old school lawn chair. Like there's an aluminum frame and it's got the webbing. And the webbing's like kind of a off green. And you can get up and go back there and literally kind of sack out for a couple of hours. And the pilots take turns when they're just flying, just going from here to there. You can actually get some rest. It was Mike Slater asking, can you really sleep? I mean, are you just jacked up on adrenaline? He said, No, you get to the point where you realize you've got to be sharp at the moment. So you do go ahead and just relax and go to sleep.
They're trained really well. They can sleep. I mean, that's one of the things, like rest and sleep is your best ally, right? So they sleep whenever they can because they know there may be times when they're not sleeping.
Matt Boucher says, does anyone believe any of the news coverages these days? They all spin based on agendas.
Yeah.
I
And
couldn't agree
that
more.
agenda is ratings.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I think that we get our ratings from simply debunking the BS. Just tell the truth. Just tell people what really happened, whether it be local politics or whether it be a national event. I mean, we've called the president out numerous times. I heard him this morning. He's at The Hague, so he's not even on U.S. soil. And he took the time to go, the New York Times, the failing New York Times. They wouldn't even have a newspaper if it wasn't for Trump. Stop. You're in a foreign country. We're one of the few that has a free press, and you're putting down the free press in a foreign country. And then he goes, CNN, terrible network. Anybody here from CNN? You guys are terrible. He goes, not you, though. And he turned to this girl, not you, Kathy. Y'all are great. I don't know who Kathy is. He goes,
only one worse is MSNBC. Yeah,
MSNBC's worse. Terrible, terrible network. Well, okay, so you're on a slander tour, but you're in a foreign country. You're representing the United States. Just stick to the facts. You're in the middle of World War III, and you're talking about, the New York Times. I think it's dumb.
Just stick to the facts. And here's Mr. Hyperbole. You're in the middle of World War III.
Well, isn't he? Isn't he to a degree? I mean, just because we won it doesn't mean it wasn't. I think we need a T-shirt.
Except for the fact the world wasn't in it.
Look, if the United States government was the fighting Texas Aggies, they'd hang a banner. That was a global championship. They would have a banner hung. Never mind, it was a preseason game. They won.
Jarrett McCurgan says they would downplay things in the past. In Canada, Dieppe is a good example of a famous World War I battle. We now know how tragic it was, but at the time it was initially reported as a spectacular raid and success. But I think that's part of, and I this is the blurring of things a little bit, but I think at that time it's necessary. You got to keep the morale of the country up. Can you imagine reporting on how many, actual deaths were there? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Torrin Bale says the other thing is it got the attention of Russia, China, and North Korea. Says peace by stealth. Peace through strength, no doubt about it, which is an old.
Yeah, it's not a Reagan. I mean, Reagan kind of made it popular, but this goes back to,
Latin days.
Yeah.
Peter McNally, welcome to the program. He says, Morning Joe, wondering if the bombing effects were that great.
Monty Howard summed it up great. We got them talking and they're not fighting right now.
That's right. I think that the plan was to set back their nuclear program. The president,
it set it back months at the very
least. He's wanting to counter congressional knuckleheads who are saying he didn't have the authority to do what he did. And he's like, well, look at the result. There was no time to wait around. We needed to do what I did when I did it. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I'm wondering if in the I think, what year was it that I looked at this? 2021? The U.S. dropped 26,000 bombs in various countries in the Middle East and parts of Africa. 26,000 bombs.
Yeah, Congress didn't sign
off on any of those.
No, didn't have to because but they're like, this guy's shredding the Constitution. It's just made up garbage by the left. And here's what gets me the most now is you have these guys like Chuck Schumer, Jasmine Crockett. AOC is a bartender and she's chatting about the Constitution like she knows something. So Chuck Schumer, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Adam Schiff.
These are the folks that are lining up to run for the presidential nominee on the Democratic ticket.
Doing. So their deal is I want to capture that voting public that hates Donald Trump. So it doesn't matter, like they said, if Donald Trump cured cancer, the left would spin it as Donald Trump taking people off Medicare. He's doing it. He's taking people off Medicare. I mean, the left hates America. They hate the American way of life. They love our security.
They've gone completely silent on the fact that there's thousands of Iranian illegals that we captured under the Biden administration and then let's set them free into the country. And now all of a sudden military is worried about sleeper cells. Where do you think they came from?
I tell you what, you find a sleeper cell in South Texas, they're going to be gone in a hurry. Bring your sleeper cell. Wake up your sleeper cell. Let's party in South Texas. I know 1,000 well-dressed, wealthy, closet rednecks ready to party on a sleeper cell. I mean, like, I know people that have thousands of rounds of 223 ammo, thousands of rounds. Bring your sleeper cell. Let's have a party. We'll meet at the Patty Dodson.
Speaking of which, we didn't cover this at all, but I mean, being armed and ready certainly helped save a church in Michigan over the weekend.
Well,
Wasn't it in
I
Michigan?
think he was armed with an F-150, wasn't he? Cutting? So a guy walks in, 21-year-old guy, whose mother is a member of this particular church, and I know nothing about the church. Could
No, I
have
don't
been
either.
Methodist, could have been whatever. Peter McNally says AOC's a smart bartender. She's an opportunistic, bug-eyed liar. He walks into this church and opens fire.
Missouri. Thank you, Michelle Hawkins.
And it was in Missouri.
Fact checking. I like it. I want to be.
I thought it was in Michigan.
I thought so.
At any rate, you're sure it's Missouri.
I'm pretty sure it is. Cody's
Okay.
checking it right
I
now.
trust y'all.
Brad Mitchell, good morning.
And a guy as he tries to, I guess, escape, a guy in a deacon, if you will, in a pickup ran over him, and a security guard then shot him.
What was the deacon doing showing up late? That's what the Democrats would want to know in this case.
The Rican
Not the
deacon.
fact that the security guard with a gun actually wounded the guy and got and stopped the shooting.
The deacon cut out of church
What the
early.
heck
That's-
did you do? Yeah.
We need to tax that church.
All right, this was in Wayne, Michigan.
Oh, it wasn't Missouri. Carter didn't make it up.
I'm taking Michigan points over
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. Stand down, Michelle Wilson Hawkins. Stand down. Stand down, girl. You bother me. How about that,
Stephanie Show says it was in Wayne, Michigan. Thank you.
Wayne?
Commander beat you to it, Stephanie, but we appreciate that.
Waynesboro,
I
party
even
on.
gave her a little time before I looked it up. I
Right.
didn't want to be rude.
Stephanie, look now.
We
now,
appreciate that, Michelle. Thank
Michelle
you.
says she's sorry. You don't have to be sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
There
We're
you
just
go.
razzing you.
You have to be what?
You don't have to be sorry, eh?
Hey, sorry.
Sorry, I forgot the A.
Sorry.
Sorry, I forgot the AA. Sorry. It's good to go on and on. It's a
Canadians-
never-ending loop.
Nobody
Of
can
Canadian apologies.
apologize
Nope.
like a Canadian.
No, here, let's.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. You have to
I'm sorry.
apologize for me
I'm
bumping
sorry you
into
bumped
you.
into me.
Yeah. That's the Canadian way.
I'm trying to think of like if a Canadian man married a Jewish woman, the honeymoon, she's saying not tonight, not tonight. And he's going, sorry. It would be an endless loop.
It would be an
Yeah.
endless loop.
I like it. Since we're
We
stereotyping.
gotta watch the Morning Joe. He loves the U.S. I don't know.
Yeah,
He
who
hates
cares?
Trump though. That's
He
the
hates
problem.
Trump to the point that he doesn't care. I'll throw this out there just to give you like a baseline of common sense. If you are an American and you understand that Iran is unstable, Iran openly hates the Jews and has the audacity to not only threaten, we will have vicious consequences. They also say death to America quite often.
They've been
Death
chanting
to
that
America.
since '79.
Death to America. When you consider all of that, and you consider that they were enriching uranium not for nuclear power plant capabilities, and they can't be trusted, and if they had a weapon, 80% of America agrees they would use it against the Jews and against the United States.
80% of Americans agree that they should not have nuclear weapons, yet 50-50 divide, or maybe even
Should
worse
we
than
do
that we
anything?
should have done anything about it.
If you don't agree that the world is a better place without Iran having a nuclear weapon. And if you have a problem with the United States eliminating their capability to have a nuclear weapon, you need to check your American card. If you really say to me, well, they haven't done anything to us, why did we bomb them? You are a fool. That's just the way it is. You're a fool.
They've
You're
been behind most of the terror
funded
attacks.
terrorism for 40, 50 years. Don't be a fool. Sit this one out. Let the big kids run the world. You cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and to suggest they didn't do anything to us. Why did we bomb them? Is just a leftist idiot position.
I was listening to some idiot on the Piers Morgan show the other day talking about this very thing that Iran doesn't have the capabilities. They can't enrich the uranium. They don't have the technology, the missiles, the warheads to carry nuclear warheads anywhere. They couldn't strike Iran with one if they wanted to. Bull crap.
Right.
They could do some sort of dirty bomb,
Absolutely.
lob it over the wall at the Gaza.
These are people that commit suicide bombings. Peter McNally says that Morning Joe is much better than Fox. I don't watch a whole lot of Fox either. In fact, when Ash and I get here, I watch the BBC. I watch a program called Scripps. I watch CBS. And CBS has that. Is it CBS that is that really handsome kind of Metro black guy?
Yep. I think so.
British
With a
accent.
Yep.
Peter, but
Wonder
also,
if he's got a green card.
yeah, HR Mallory points out that ratings show that Fox is actually a lot more advanced than MSNBC in the Morning Joe. Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know.
Stephanie Kine says, were they not in a contract that they would not enrich uranium? That's another thing. If you believe that Iran can be held to a contract and that they're actually going to keep their word,
well, they won't even let UN inspectors go in and inspect certain facilities.
I'll ask you an objective.
What are they hiding?
I want your opinion, your objective opinion. If Joe Biden had the wherewithal to order this strike and had the right Elvis Presley medication cocktail to get on the television and say, today we eliminated a threat in Iran. They will never have nuclear weapons. They will never threaten our friends, Jack. And I did more push-ups than the Ayatollah, and I'm going for a bike ride, and I'm going to have some ice cream to celebrate. The left would be like, who's a baby now? Joe Biden got it done, baby. Finish the job, Joe. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
You know the
I can't
left.
tell you
Peter
wrong.
McNally would be, talk bad about my president now. He did what had to get done. But when Donald Trump does it, it's not as successful as everybody thought it was.
No.
Well, good. Let's do it again. We got the bombs. We got the planes, and they can't do nothing about it. That's the beauty. Israel, did you know Israel dropped like 200 bombs on Iran?
Yeah, they softened up the underbelly for us. Here's the thing. If we didn't do all that damage with the bombs that we dropped, then you know what? Now might be the time to drop some more.
Yeah. Why not?
Because, that bunker, 300 feet, got to be softened up a little bit. I'm sure there's rebar hanging. It's got to be a soft spot in there.
Jared makes a good point, but it brings up a counterpoint. He says they have so many resources for power, oil and gas. They don't need to spend billions on nuclear power. Pretty sure they aren't into the climate agenda. That's true. So with their rhetoric, there does seem to be only one reason for them to enrich uranium, and it's not for peace. 100% well said.
Because
but
the Middle East doesn't care about green energy.
No.
They've got more oil and gas. That's all they care about.
But you do have to watch. The president of the United States said that, and he is also on record as saying we have more oil and gas than the Middle East. So why do we need nuclear power? But we already have nuclear weapons. So the fact that we've got it and we need nuclear power, I think nuclear power is the key to everything. electrically related. We ought to go right out into West Texas and build 3 or 4 huge nuclear power plants and sell power all over the country.
Scott Tomko basically summing up what I was trying to say. We have pre-drilled holes, should get to depth. Thank you.
Yep.
I just couldn't quite articulate it. Thank
Michelle
you, Scott.
Wilson Hawkins rebounds and says they just cannot stand to see him succeed and admit they were wrong.
Nope.
100%.
They don't like to see that.
And you've heard us admit that the Republican side was wrong many times right here.
Should we
You
take a
wanna
break?
take a break?
Yeah, let's take a
I
break.
don't know if we should.
I should.
Probably need to.
Probably need to. Tomorrow night, folks. Tomorrow we.
He's been
Palace
talking
bingo.
to somebody Canadian lately, I think. And that's
Yeah.
E.
Yeah.
E. I pick it up. I used to pick it up a lot. When I first met Ash, maybe 9-10 years ago, I would just be like enthralled with just because he said some cool things, I mean, they do. They have some cool things that they
Most I can't say on radio.
Yeah, things you can't say on the radio, but anyway. But
Anyway.
I was amazed and intrigued with
Her accent's rubbing off. On
I
me.
could tell that you were so tell you what else may rub off. Could tell that he was Canadian and it
Dust.
was awesome. And
And rust.
scale, calcium deposits. Anyway, it's over the years it has waned a little bit, but every now and then I pick it back up. At any rate, folks, White Trash Services, White
tomorrow
Trash Site
night.
Services.
We didn't even finish. Palace Bingo. We'll be there. Wade and Carter night.
Yeah, be there at
7
7
o'clock.
First
Let's
ball
go.
pops at 7:30. Be there, be square. You never know when a little fracas may break out. We're bringing some stealth drones just in case we need to drop bird poop on another table. So just come on in. Palace Bingo. White Trash Services. If you have property in the counties, any of them, if you can hear our voice, White Trash Services is your trash collection service. So reach out to 550-1826 and get a contract started today. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen can help you get from here to there. They can help you, ladies, men, with a jump on the side of the road if your car dies. If you need to deliver a corporate vehicle to Gonzales, Refugio, Corpus, give them a call. They can do that for you on a flatbed trailer.
You don't want your kid to drive to college, so you're going to take him up there. Then call Allen's, and they'll get the car delivered.
They'll just hook him by the shorts and take him straight to College Station. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home.
You just always do better at Chesnick.
Stop by and see Bobby Leon and his family. We recommend that you go in and ask for the owner and then tell them Wade and Carter sent you. They love to hear that feedback. Be Small. I don't know where he's been.
I don't either, but there's a little sidebar going on here.
And
And
it's
Peter
good.
McNally says MSNBC has much better commentators.
Oh my goodness.
Patrick Strauss asks, according to who, and B Small chimes in, both viewers.
Yeah, no kidding.
Peter and Mike.
No kidding. But the key point there is no matter how articulate the fool, he can still be a fool.
Jeff Finley, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Atzenoffer and Atzenoffer.com. Atzenoffer, your home for your next vehicle. Reach out to Atzenoffer for a brand new Chevy truck. They're still selling Mitsubishis, right?
Yep.
Reach out to them, but they've got so many wonderful pre-owned vehicles on the lot. Go by, the least you can do is go by and drive the new Z06 Corvette. They have a Corvette hardtop convertible. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The NATO summit going on. Apparently, protesters this morning.
Yeah, I saw some guy got
Protesting.
arrested and
Yeah.
slammed around. They'll be blind. It was probably American, probably Los Angeles cops or United States Marines.
You know what was interesting? I figured more of these protesters would be wearing COVID masks, but they actually weren't afraid to show their faces. There were a
Right.
few idiots with the masks on, but they looked like people that actually were concerned that they might have COVID. But viewer discretion was advised on the one feed we were watching this morning because apparently there was some sort of I don't know exactly, but they had arrested a guy and they had him cuffed on the ground, and then the horse was there. I didn't know if maybe it was going to be like the Merrill Lynch bull and the horse's genital was going to be.
It's not
shown on the
news
air.
because in the Netherlands, everybody in the screenshot was white. So it's just not news. Nobody was being abused based upon their race. There was no PCP or crack in the scene. It was just a disgruntled white person being arrested by white police. It was just stupidity.
So NATO leaders expected to agree to ramp up defense spending, according to 1440 this morning, when their summit concludes later today. Countries may commit to spending 5% of their GDP on defense by 2035. That's up from the current 2% target, which I believe less than half of the members were meeting prior to Donald Trump's first term when he called them out. And now about 22 of the 32 member countries are now meeting that 2%
and the
target.
other 10 are being openly shamed over there. They're like, we're carrying the water for you. Come on, what are you going to do?
The U.S. accounts for roughly 16% of NATO's budget last year alone. Why now? Is it the pressure of Donald Trump? Because I can't imagine it's not, as to why they would want to ramp up their spending and increase it by 3% from 2% to 3% to 5%. I mean, that just makes, there's no way. If Donald Trump is the president and putting pressure on these NATO countries to do what they agreed to do when they signed on to NATO.
Right. We're all going to put in 2% of our GDP. The difference is we all talk about, well, everybody's making equal sacrifice. That's fine. But the United States 2% is 16% of the total budget, which, by the way, I'm not being flippant. It's only $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
A lot of that is administrative costs.
That's probably mostly administrative because NATO's not doing, they're not going and doing the peacekeeping like they used to do that I'm aware of, like they did in the former Yugoslavia. Spain, though, a side deal, they're only going to commit 2.1% of its GDP to defense, but Spain's got a lot of other problems, so maybe that's why.
I'm curious if they really try to go to 5%, but yes, this president gets things done. 22 of the 32. And before that, it was more like, I think he's got another 5 or 6 countries to finally pay their part.
Yeah. It was the other interesting thing yesterday is he really went to task on Israel and Iran, and was probably harder on Iran when the ceasefire seemed like it was a little bit tenuous and maybe not going to hold.
I thought it was harder on Israel.
I mean, that's what I meant.
He yelled it. And he said, I agree. Israel is being stupid.
But apparently the ceasefire seems to be holding despite some reports of violations of it yesterday.
They said that both countries had recommitted to the ceasefire.
Yeah.
This does not mean in any form that they're friends. It means that
they don't want to kill each other right now.
Trump probably said to Netanyahu, you violate the truce again, violate the ceasefire again, and I'm not going to have your back. You're going to be on your own. I'm telling you I heard him say, I'm telling you to turn those planes around and do not drop those bombs. That was yesterday morning about 6:35.
Yeah.
And that's how much more stressful or straightforward can the president be? Israel violated that, felt they owed it to Iran. And then Iran got all upset, and the president said, somebody's got to be the first one to stop. And Iran benefits the most from minding. What the president pointed out was that in Syria, for example, women's rights have gotten much better. Syria is doing a better job. We need a regime change in Iran. Normally, I am not for the United States exerting itself, its Western culture, its mores into foreign countries.
Well, we've seen how that's worked out over the years.
I'm not for that. But I'm also absolutely for forcing a regime change when the people in charge are, number one, not adored by the majority of the public, and number two, are screaming death to America. If you want some, come get it. Iran has been exposed as a paper tiger. There's nothing there. Israel went over and eliminated their Air Force. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Couple of things New York City related. New York City up in arms yesterday. It's the hottest day since 2012.
That's typically climate change.
99 degrees, which
Who
tells
was president then? Obama?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Green New Deal wasn't working, was it?
Barack did it, man.
Yep.
Barack did it.
We were in the we were solidly in the Paris Climate Accord in 2012.
Absolutely.
Look, they just need to come spend a week down in South Texas.
That's right. Those people are
and
all
they'd
soft.
be done talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It was, temperatures went over 100. Oh, the horror.
And New York, I was in New York when Giuliani was the mayor. I was in New York when Bloomberg was the mayor. I love New York City. I think it's a great city. One of the greatest cities I've ever been in. There's a vibrancy. There's a reason it's called the city that never sleeps.
Start spreading the news.
Because you got a bunch of homeless people on the streets yelling at all hours.
And rats.
Big rats. I mistook one for a chihuahua once.
Nutria.
Trying to rescue it.
They got Nutria.
So, and then you had de Blasio. And things kind of went well. Bloomberg wasn't so bad. I'm not going to lie. He's probably stupid things that he did, like trying to ban sodas. But the city wasn't that bad. Then de Blasio gets in there and he goes soft on crime and the homeless explode. And
they tried to ban sodas, but they settled for straws.
Yeah. So, and the Democrats complain about how bad New York is. And maybe it's because the best option they had was former Governor Andrew Cuomo, and they ran him out of the office as the governor.
I can't make this up. New York has given the Democratic nomination to a guy named Zoran Mamdani. I mean, come on, laughing stock of the world.
He's a socialist. Peter McNally was hearting that fact on a comment that the Democrats have chosen a socialist.
It's the dumbest thing
as their
ever.
Candidate. He's also a New York State assemblyman.
But this is how it happens, right? You get him in at the city level. And the next thing you know, when a guy wants to run I'm a Democratic socialist. 33-year-old. He's an Indian Ugandan immigrant who became a citizen 7 years ago.
Here's what's interesting.
But here, what's interesting is New York voted for this guy.
What's even more interesting is this is a guy who has fled class warfare. I don't know whether he grew up in India or Uganda. Either way, you have governments that keep you down, and you're coming here and you think the government can save you? Right. You witnessed the worst of what a government can do.
That's right. But it's all he knows. So he wants to, I can do it better here. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. My friends, it is done. And you are the ones who did it. I'm honored to be your Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. What an embarrassing show by New Yorkers.
It is.
And same people that elect AOC, same people that elect Kathy Hochul.
Listen to his door hanger. We're going to read this for you. Epic Times put a picture of this. Safer streets and subways. Who can be against that? Right?
Rent freeze, cheaper groceries, no cost childcare. Really? You can do that.
He's endorsed by the Working Families Party, aka modern day communists.
Right.
He's endorsed by the Democratic Socialists,
which he's the one. He's
communists.
They're communists.
He's endorsed by AOC, communist.
She's a communist, for sure, a socialist. And wait. He's also been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, he endorsed him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, yeah. Imagine that.
Why does it say are they saying he's an independent?
Yeah, he claims to be an independent.
He's a liar. He's
Mamdani promised a rent freeze, the abolition of bus fares.
It's all going to be free.
City-run grocery stores.
The government will own some of the means of production. He thinks that's good. No more capitalism in New York.
No cost childcare. The cost of living in New York was a signature issue. Here's an idea of people in New York.
Inner city people, right? Give me the free. I get on the bus for free. I can go to the city-owned grocery store where I know I'm getting the best deal, and I can leave my kid where my baby daddy done left. I can leave my kid at the free childcare.
Well, and it's not even that. There's probably a bunch of people living there, younger folks, trying to chase the American dream, but they don't want to work for it. They're probably all working remotely or partially from home. So you know what? Move your ass to Omaha, Nebraska. Move your ass to Victoria, Texas. Work from your apartment where living is affordable while you make a decent wage.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to live in an S-hole apartment with 29 other people.
True story.
There's part of the problem.
And yet, he won't get elected.
Eric Adams running as independent. The Republican probably has no chance because the Republican hasn't been mayor since Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
But the cities, it's getting worse. And here's another reason I hate it, because New York City is the iconic city of the United States.
Fair.
The 9/11 terrorists didn't attack LA or Boston. They tried DC.
Well, there's nothing out there tall enough to fly a 747 into.
Where in DC?
In LA.
A couple buildings, but nothing that signifies
And nobody would have cared.
the World Trade Center like in New York.
Yeah. Yep. Monty Howard says New York will turn into a mini Soviet Union, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Jonathan Williams says he's trying to be Oprah. Everybody gets a car. Everybody here.
Well, free busing. They don't get a car.
Yeah.
But now they don't have to pay for the bus. And you watch, New Yorkers will then complain because how do you pay for this? Taxes are going up.
But they don't own anything because you're going to freeze the rent. So all you're doing is literally taxing the building owner, taxing the rich.
And you know what's going to
What they
happen? Let's play this out a little bit. We're going to freeze the rent, but to pay for free childcare, to pay for the grocery stores that the city's going to own and operate,
City needs more money.
pay for the free busing. How do you get that? Unless you jack your sales tax up, unless you reimpose that stupid commuter tax.
You put the tax on the real estate and you let the landlord pay the bill, you tax the rich.
And then what happens? When their rent has been frozen and they can no longer cover the cost of the property taxes,
everything
who then?
becomes a slum.
The city then takes it over.
Sure.
The city will own those buildings.
And that'll make them happy.
And they'll
happy,
have,
happy.
but what are they going to do? They'll have no tax income because they now own them. You see where this is going? It's starting to spiral like a freaking toilet, and it's just going to go down and down and down and down.
The Democrats live under the illusion that there's an endless bucket of money. The Democrats live under the illusion that if you could just tax the billionaires, you could solve all of America's problems. It's just a tremendously ignorant cycle of thought.
I'd like to know what New York City's tax rating or bond rating is right now, credit rating. I would think if they're actually truthful on this, and this guy has become the leading candidate to be mayor of New York, New York's credit rating should probably drop to a C, because this guy's going to leverage the city beyond what it's capable of doing.
Somewhat breaking news is 16 hours ago. The Carmelo Anthony, the kid that stabbed the kid at the track meet,
Yep.
indicted on first-degree murder charge.
I don't think that's a shock to anybody.
Andrew Alvarez verbatim, I kind of disagree with you, Ash. The city wouldn't buy it. They would sell it to BlackRock, Vanguard, and other huge entities, and then they would tax those entities.
Well, but they'll take it over. The city will own it. They won't have to buy it. They'll foreclose on it because of unpaid taxes. Then they'll sell it off.
Yeah.
But at some point, but here's the other thing: BlackRock and Vanguard, they don't hold on to losing.
Right. They don't invest in
Investments.
losing propositions.
So eventually things are going to have to change. And then BlackRock and Vanguard will be the bad guys when New York City finally comes to its senses and elects either a centrist like Bloomberg or a Republican like Giuliani to rescue the city.
There you go. Wint Services, Wint Electrical, for all your generator needs. Reach out to Wint for a turnkey generator quote, whole house generator, or if you want something smaller, just to power your air conditioning and your refrigerator in the event of an outage. Reach out to Wint. They can help. First State Bank of Louise. We'll get to the Astros update in a minute. It's
Great
a winner.
game,
Chopping block. We talked about Wacky Wing Wednesday.
get in there today.
$13.99 ribeyes. get by the chopping block. The chopping block should just be in your loop. You can go to the box stores for your major stuff because the chopping block doesn't sell toilet paper. They don't sell Tide, but they do sell the freshest, best cuts of beef, chicken. They have great pork steaks. They also have all different types of sausage, boudin. They make a tremendous breakfast sausage that you can either make into patties or just do it like hamburger meat, like we do. And add
I have
the
not
eggs.
found better boudin.
You know, toilet paper with a little smoky smell to it.
That would be
Might be nice, especially for like the deer camp.
There you go. The commander coming in with some, like level 3 wit. He's not getting much sleep.
No, not these days.
Not getting much sleep. We don't hold him to the higher standard. The dollar floor store.
They have the higher standard of flooring at the
Absolutely.
lowest possible prices. Their prices are on the floor. They're
Luxury vinyl, tile,
ceramic,
whatever you need.
Wood.
Go
As
buy
low as it could go, really.
Absolutely, to the floor.
Absolutely. Wow.
See, he gets it.
That's
It's
twice.
at least 3.5.
That's twice.
Third
Patrick
time.
Strauss makes the transition to the First State Bank of Louise Astros update. Astros winning at a .625 clip since Jordan went down, which is amazing. Tip of the cap to one Joe Espada, who's done a great job with the lineup, moving people around.
Well, what have they done? They put pressure on the defense by stealing bases. Jake Myers has more stolen bases. I think he's got a career high of stolen bases already. He's
hitting over 300.
I don't know if he played yesterday.
Yes, he did play.
Did he get another hit to
I
extend
don't
his
know.
hitting streak to
Why don't
11?
we go?
Well, I can look for that. Well, you keep going
Astros,
on. Great game last night.
Well,
by
great
the way.
game. Espada's doing a great job. Don't forget, we're still missing
1-0 victory.
Cooper Hummel hit a solo home run in the 8th inning. Fromber Valdez and 2 relievers combined for a 4-hitter.
Yeah, Fromber was on.
Fromber was on, really dealing. Can you go to the box score?
I'm getting
there. You
there.
go. Let's see. Jake Myers
Did not get a hit.
over
So his
3.
hitting
That's
streak.
right. But he's hitting 307.
But I think he's got 2 10-game hitting streaks this year.
Every time that a team, and those of you that may be Rangers fans, you be small for sure could say, I know who this guy is. Every time a team has kind of an unexpected World Series run, they always have a player or two that have career years. It just seems to be that way. It's like nobody expected Mauricio Dubon to be hitting, but he's only hitting 250, but he's also had some pop in his bat.
But he's picked it up in the last
And
month
he
because
is
he was
a
hitting like
great-
a $160
great
in
fielder.
June.
Jeremy Pena, they moved him to leadoff. He's hitting 326. He goes 1 for 3 yesterday to even raise his average. Isak Paredes, he's only batting 254, but some timely hitting. Altuve goes over 3 yesterday. He's hitting 266. For Myers to hit 207, for Pena to be thriving in the leadoff position, these are the kind of things that you have to have happen. When you bring that left-handed bat back with Alvarez, who has a busted hand, when you get Jordan back, life is going to be great.
Yeah.
We're also going to get some pitching back. J-Dub, I don't like Jeremy Pena signing with Boros. He hates the Astros, and I don't know why. I don't. I think he got sideways with them years
With
ago.
what's his name that went off to the Yankees, the pitcher,
Garrett Cole?
I think that's where it started.
And he just doesn't like to negotiate.
And maybe Fires when Fires went to Oakland and then ratted out the trash canning.
Fires is a spare.
I don't know if Fires is one of his or not.
Fires is a
I could be
spare.
making
Garrett
stuff up.
Cole's always hurt. So there you have it.
But here's the thing with Pena signing with Boris. I think there's still a lot of team control because he's so young and arbitration and stuff. So I don't think it's a concern yet.
I think he's very, very, very happy to be an Astro.
But
As
it
is
will be-
Cam Smith.
but there
Cam
will be a
Smith.
concern.
Cam Smith is one of the guys that really is like, whoa, what a bonus. Who would have thought that a rookie 23-year-old right fielder would be a team leader? And he is. And it matters.
Astros 4.5 games up on the Mariners. Mariners won again. They've won 3 in a row.
Everybody's winning right now.
Yeah.
The Rangers have won 1, the Angels have won 2, the Mariners have won 3, the Astros have won 2. Only Athletics have gone 5-5. Everybody else has a winning
The only
record.
team in the American League with a better winning percentage than the Astros are the Detroit Tigers, Detroit 50-30, who have the best winning percentage in all of Major League Baseball at this point. But
And before you say that the American League West is weak, acknowledge this. The Astros have faced the fewest number of teams under 500. Everybody else in the leaders, every leader in a division has played more teams under 500 than the Astros.
They have more home wins than anybody else in the majors except for the LA
drum.
Dodgers.
It's the drum.
It must be.
Dodgers
And,
are really good.
Yeah.
Tigers are good.
I like this guy to keep an eye on is this catcher for the
Cal
Mariners.
Raleigh?
Yeah. I really like what he's doing.
He's a star.
He is a star. He's only clubbed 32 home runs now.
Yeah. That's crazy. 32 home runs way before the break.
Way before. He's on pace for 66 on the year.
Yeah.
But
Johnny Bench
had the record for the most home runs by a catcher at the All-Star break at 28.
I don't look for Cal
32
Raleigh
and 18 games left to play before the All-Star.
Commander, Google up Johnny Bench and find out the year that Johnny Bench had 28 home runs
at the
All-Star break. How many did he finish the season with? I'll bet you that Cal Raleigh, he's the everyday catcher in Oakland, and I'll bet you that Cal Raleigh doesn't finish the year with more than 50 homers. I'll bet you that now. And the reason is the day-to-day.
He's playing every day. Well,
yeah,
Johnny
you play
Bench
every day,
did
it'll
too.
wear you out. By then, let's see how many Bench hit. I bet your Bench was at 28. I bet you he didn't hit more than 40.
I don't know if Bench ever had a 50 home run season.
No,
Maybe one.
that's kind of why I hedged my bet with some trivia.
Maybe he was one when. Remember, I think Foster, Griffey.
Look at the Riker.
helping me.
He went to love on the Commander.
45.
Yeah,
He ended up
there
with
you go.
45. There you go. So that's what you're going to see out of Raleigh. He'll have 35 at the break, and he'll finish with 52. It won't be 70. It's not like he's going to go on a tear. Not to mention
Be
everybody.
interesting if he did.
He could, right, because he's seen everybody one trip through.
Yeah.
Anyway, Astros update brought to you by the great folks at the First State Bank of Louisiana.
Cody Clemens hit his 8th home run in that game for the Twins.
Cody Clemens has become a very serviceable player for the Phillies. He's really a good player.
Yeah.
Pete
Yeah,
Strauss
and he
points
does
that
point
he
out
is a
Raleigh is a
switch hitter.
switch hitter. Forgot about that.
That's a good point. Yep. Patrick Strauss knows some baseball.
Oh, he knows some baseball and some bourbon.
Hey,
Oh, that might be a fun time. Sit down and watch a game with P. Strauss, talk baseball, and drink some fine bourbon.
get him to bring some bourbon to
Why are you biting my sleeve,
he
dog?
could bring it to the
He's trying to-
Palace Bingo.
I think he's
night.
trying to chew the buttons off my
That
shirt.
dog loves you. Just
I know. He
take
does.
the love. Sometimes love gets a little,
I'm taking that love.
little physical.
Yep.
Maybe you get bit once in a while. That doesn't mean you're not loved. I mean, what's the difference between
Rip the buttons off.
Cody? What's the difference between a bite and a nibble? I mean, I guess it's whether you're the one doing it or the one getting it.
Does anybody really care? NBA draft tonight? Big deal.
Here's something that some of the ladies will care about. Bobby Sherman passed at the age of 81. He had cancer. He was kind of along there with David Cassidy and some of those guys, kind of a teen heartthrob guy.
Here's a guy you might recognize from rock videos in the 80s, but you probably wouldn't know his name. He was in Bad Company and Mott the Hoople. Mick Ralphs, founding member of those bands, also dying at the age of 81.
What did he play, Ralphs? He wasn't
I'm going to guess guitars. No.
what's the lead singer's name for
Bad Company?
Bad Company. Paul Rogers? No, that's
No, not Nile Rodgers either.
No. Hey.
Somebody's got to know this one.
So Bad Company's had 3 lead singers: Paul Rogers,
Oh,
Robert Hart, and Brian Howe.
and they were all trying to sing like Paul Rogers.
Yeah.
Also, a bite is more forceful than a nibble.
Thank you. But isn't that perception in the eyes of
Yeah,
the
he was the
recipient?
founding guitarist of Bad Company.
Mott the Hoople. What was that song they had? They had one song.
More or less.
I forgot it. Mott the Hoople.
I remember the band.
Somebody know. That's what I love. Like P. Strauss knows Mott the Hoople.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul Rogers, I think, was the founding guy, and I think he kind
Maybe.
of came back.
Yeah.
recently.
Well, because now there's money in reunion tours, right? The
And it-
Eagles proved that.
Everybody else died. The Eagles never really went away, right? They just kind of
No, they just kind of
took a break.
took a break for a while.
If I was going to be on an island,
All the young dudes.
forever,
There's a song.
all
Thank
the
you,
young
P.
dudes.
Strauss.
Thank you, Mark Kurtz and P. Strauss. Great minds thinking alike. That is the only song of theirs I can remember. If I was going to be on an island forever, and could only have one band's catalog with me, it would be the
It would
Eagles.
probably be the Eagles.
I could scratch my country itch, my folk itch,
Your rock itch.
my rock itch.
Yeah.
But not my Rockovich. There you go. Don't touch my Rockovich.
Don't touch it.
All right, you guys have a great day. We love you. Thank you for pulling us through another show. Y'all are the best audience in radio. Have a great day, and stay tuned to Magic 95.9 for all the great Tejano music. Lila Arguelles will be on there in a little while. The fun never stops. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.